Hi, everybody. It's Larissa here. Time for another book review. Time for another book review with Larissa. This is Saints, the Standard of Truth. It's volume 1 of 3. Um, so this book, I just finished it. If you can see, it's a pretty hefty book. But it was a quick read. And so, what is this about? This is a nonfiction narrative, and it's about the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This volume covers from 1815 to 1846. I say it's a narrative because it's written like a story. It's not written like a novel. It lacks the detail and characterizations and things that you would find in a true narrative or like a novelization. This is a straightforward narrative, um, starting with Joseph Smith and following his translation of the Book of Mormon and the beginnings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1830, all the way through his martyrdom in 1846 when he was shot and killed along with his brother Hiram at Carthage Jail in Illinois. So I was very interested in it because obviously I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So this is my history. This is where I came from. My mother and her parents and my father's father were all converts to the church in the mid 20th century. But my father's mother's family ancestors all were Mormon pioneers I think the earliest one was around 1839. Others were around 1842, mid 1840s. I think there were like 15 or 16 ancestors who joined the church either in the eastern United States or in England and crossed the plains to Utah in the 1840s. So I have a big heritage, and I was very interested in reading this book. Volume 2 covers all of that, covers the Trek West and the founding of Utah. So I'm starting that one, and that pertains more to my history. I did have some ancestors who lived in Nauvoo, which was the city that the Saints founded in, like, I think they founded it in about 1838 or so, and then they had to evacuate it by 1846 because of persecution. So I did have some ancestors who lived there. I did have one ancestor who served in the Mormon Battalion. So this is of great interest to me personally. So my review of it is the events that it details and the people it introduces is absolutely fascinating. I actually learned a lot. I was born and raised in this church. And I knew a lot of this history, but much of it I didn't know or knew very little of. Some things that really struck me was how much persecution those early members of the church had to face. Their houses were burned. Some people were shot and killed. They were tarred and feathered. They were driven from town to town. It's astounding what they had to endure to live their religion. And I also was very much astounded as how quickly this church grew. It was established in 1830. I think it was in New York. I don't remember exactly what state they were in when the church was founded, but they started with 6 members. 6 members, and went out to teach people. And by the time 18 years later, or I guess it was like 16 years later, after Joseph Smith had been killed and they were ready to leave Nauvoo, there were 11,000 members of the church just in the city of Nauvoo itself. That doesn't even count the people that were living in the outskirts and in other surrounding areas and in England and Canada. They even sent missionaries to Hawaii. So we're looking at probably at least 15,000, 20,000 members of the church in the first 15, 16 years. That is amazing to me, how fast that grew. And, it was something easy for me because I was born with it, and it was just, this is just my culture. It's just my religion. It's just part of who I am. But for these people, they were all converts, all of them. They all left family and home and changed their lives drastically, sacrificed a great deal to embrace this new church that claimed that Jesus Christ visited the Americas, that Jesus Christ is everyone's Savior. They believed in it so strongly that many sacrificed their own lives, they sacrificed their families, they sacrificed their homes. It's just unbelievable to me, and that some of those people were my own ancestors. So the quality of the writing itself. Okay, you're talking someone who's an avid reader, a writer, a published author, a book editor, a college professor. The quality of the writing is not that great, but I think it was intentional. It's a very straightforward narrative. It's just like this happened, this happened, this happened. It doesn't really delve deeply into descriptive detail. It's designed to simply tell you this is what happened. This is the history. I would give it like a fourth grade reading level at best. But again, I think it was intentional so that it would be accessible to everyone. So anyone can read this book and understand it and appreciate the stories. It's a little challenging for me because I like things to be a little better quality writing, but tends to be the church's MO. They're a worldwide church. We are in almost every nation of the world, like I don't even know how many languages, and our church tries to make all of our materials similar or the same no matter where you are, and trying to reach people at all levels. So they tend to dumb down reading materials. And I say that, I don't say that to be mean. What I'm saying is that they try to make things more accessible to people who may not have an education, who may not have a high reading level. It makes it a little boring at times for people who do have higher education and do want more in-depth reading and stuff. But that's okay. It's okay. But that's the drawback and the positive of this book. I could literally hand this to a 10-year-old child and they could read this book and understand the history of the church. I never got bored, though. I was drawn into the stories and I literally couldn't put it down. It was so interesting to me. I do recommend it. It's not just for members of the church to read our own history. I appreciated that the authors of the book tried very hard not to insert bias toward the church. There are a lot of things in there that were controversial even back then. Things that Joseph Smith did or said, things that some of the apostles did and said. It's really stayed very true to facts, stuck to the facts, did not try to sugarcoat anything, did not try to apologize for anything. And, you know, there were some, even as a member of the church, there are some things about our history that rubbed me the wrong way. I accept that because I don't think anybody's perfect, not even Joseph Smith, especially not Joseph Smith. And our history is certainly not perfect. And that doesn't bother me